I am Reed, I am 27, just an average dude. IV made tons of money mistakes in my 20s, and now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances in your life. So I was scrolling through my notes the other day and I found something I wrote back when I was 23. It said, "Why can I just get my shit together?" And reading that now, 4 years later, it hit me different. Because back then, I thought getting my shit together meant fixing everything all at once. My bank account was a mess. I had like $400 in checking and about $2,000 in credit card debt. Nothing crazy, but it felt huge to me. My job was fine, but I hated it. My relationship was okay, but I was always anxious about it. My apartment was small and messy. My sleep schedule was garbage. I was constantly trying to optimize every single part of my life, like I was some kind of project that needed to be debugged. And the harder I tried, the worse everything got. I remember one night I sat on my couch after a 12-hour shift at a job I didn't even care about, and I just stared at the wall for like 30 minutes. Not meditating, not thinking, just staring. Because I was so tired of fighting everything, and in that moment something clicked. Not a big revelation, just a quiet thought that said, what if you just stop? Not stop trying completely, but stop treating life like a problem to be solved. Stop grinding every second. Stop obsessing over every little thing. And honestly, that was the start of everything changing for me. Not because I suddenly got rich or found a perfect career path, but because I stopped suffocating myself with the pressure to be perfect. Let me tell you a story from my early 20s that still makes me cringe a little. I was dating this girl and I was so insecure about the relationship. Every time she seemed a little quiet, I would ask, "Are you okay? Did I do something wrong? What is going on?" I was constantly trying to fix every moment of silence. I would overanalyze texts. I would rehearse conversations in my head before we had them. I was so scared of something being wrong that I created problems that didn't even exist. And guess what happened? She left. Not because of some huge fight, but because I was exhausting to be around, and it took me a long time to see that. I was so focused on controlling the outcome that I forgot to actually be present in the relationship. I was so busy trying to be the perfect boyfriend that I wasn't even a good one. That pattern showed up everywhere in my life. At work, I would stress about every little email. I would check my notifications constantly. I would say yes to everything because I was scared of disappointing anyone. With my family, I would over-explain every decision I made because I wanted their approval. With money, I was either ignoring it completely or obsessing over every penny. There was no middle ground. I was either completely checked out or way too tightly wound. And I think a lot of people in their 20s live like that. You are either numbing out with Netflix and takeout, or you are grinding yourself into dust with hustle culture. Neither one is actually living. Here's what I learned from my own money journey that completely shifted my perspective. When I first started trying to get my finances together, I thought I needed to fix everything at once. I wanted to pay off my debt immediately. I wanted to save a huge emergency fund in like 3 months. I wanted to start investing and get rich fast. I was reading all these personal finance blogs and watching YouTube videos and feeling like a failure because I was doing everything perfectly. I would try a budgeting method for like 2 weeks, and if I slipped up even a little, I would just give up completely. I was so focused on the perfect plan that I never actually executed on a good enough one. It took me failing like 4 or 5 times before I realized that consistency matters way more than intensity. You don't need a perfect budget, you just need to spend less than you earn most of the time. You don't need a 6-figure salary to start saving, you just need to save something even if it is $50 a month. You don't need to know exactly what your retirement looks like at 25. You just need to start contributing to your 401k even if it is only enough to get the match. The little steps add up over time, but if you are constantly trying to sprint, you are going to burn out before you can get started. I remember when I finally paid off my last credit card, it was about $1,200, not some huge number. But it felt like a mountain to me at the time. I had been throwing extra money at it for like 6 months, skipping nights out, cooking at home way more, saying no to stuff I wanted to buy. And when I made that last payment, I expected to feel this huge wave of relief, like fireworks or something, but honestly, I just felt quiet. Like a weight I didn't even know I was carrying, finally lifted. And that is when I realized that most of my stress was from the money itself. It was from the constant worry about it, the mental energy I spent checking my balance, the anxiety about bills, the shame of not having more saved. The actual dollar amount was small, but the mental load was huge, and letting go of that mental grip. That was the real win, not the paid-off card. That happened later when I built my emergency fund. I had been so obsessed with getting to 6 months of expenses that I was anxious the whole time I was saving. I would check my savings account every day. I would stress about every unexpected expense. I would beat myself up if I had to pull money out for something. And one day my friend asked me, "What are you even saving for if it is making you this miserable?" And he was right. The emergency fund was supposed to make me feel secure, but I was using it as another way to control everything, to feel like I had a handle on life, and that attachment to control was actually making me more anxious, not less. I see this pattern everywhere now in my friends and my coworkers. In people who comment on my videos, there is this belief that if you are not constantly stressed about your life, you are not doing it right. That struggle equals growth, that if it is easy, it must not be valuable. And man, that is such a dangerous way to think, especially in your 20s, because you spend so much time hustling and grinding and optimizing and planning. And then one day you look up and you realize you haven't actually enjoyed anything in years. You've been so focused on building the future that you forgot to live the present. And that present, that is your life. That is all you've got. The future isn't guaranteed. The retirement account you are sacrificing for might never get touched. The promotion you are killing yourself for might not make you happy. The goal you are chasing might not even be yours. It might be something you picked up from your parents or your friends or social media, and you are out here fighting for it like your life depends on it. Let me give you a practical example from my own life. I used to track every single dollar I spent, every coffee, every snack, every gas station purchase. I had spreadsheets, I had apps. I had color-coded categories, and I thought I was being so disciplined, but really I was just anxious. I was trying to control my money because I was scared of it, scared of running out, scared of making mistakes, scared of being irresponsible, and that fear was driving everything. So one month I decided to try something different. I set up one simple rule. I would save a fixed amount automatically at the beginning of the month, and then I would spend the rest however I wanted. No tracking, no spreadsheets, no guilt, and you know what happened? I didn't blow all my money. In fact, I spent less than usual, because when you stop obsessing over every little purchase, you actually become more intentional. You stop buying random crap because you are not constantly thinking about money. You just live your life and the money takes care of itself. That was a massive shift for me, and it taught me that sometimes the best way to manage something is to stop micromanaging it. Same thing with my career. I spent years trying to figure out the perfect path. What job should I take? What industry should I be in? Should I go back to school? Should I start a side hustle? I was constantly strategizing and planning and comparing myself to other people, and all that did was make me feel like I was behind, like everyone else had it figured out and I was just stumbling around. But the truth is, most people are stumbling around. The ones who look like they have it together are just better at hiding it. And once I accepted that, I stopped trying to find the perfect path and just started taking small steps in directions that felt right. I took a job that paid a little less but taught me skills I wanted. I started a blog just because I enjoyed writing. I invested in index funds because they were simple and boring. None of it was flashy, none of it was optimized, but all of it was real. And slowly over time, things started to line up. Not because I forced them to, but because I stopped getting in my own way. Here's another thing nobody tells you about your 20s. The people around you are probably just as lost as you are. That friend who seems to have the perfect relationship, they probably struggling too. That coworker who got the promotion, they might be miserable in that role. That influencer who looks like they have the dream life, they probably more anxious than you are. Social media has tricked us into believing that everyone else has it together, but nobody does. We all just figuring it out as we go. And once you realize that you can stop comparing and start actually living. I had to delete Instagram off my phone for like 6 months at one point because I couldn't stop comparing. Every time I scrolled, I felt worse about myself. Someone was making more money, someone was traveling more, someone had a nicer apartment, someone was in a better relationship. It was never ending, and the truth is none of that mattered. Those people were showing me their highlight reel while I was comparing it to my behind the scenes. It is not a fair fight, so I stopped fighting, I stopped checking, I stopped caring about what everyone else was doing, and my life got so much lighter. Now I am not saying you should give up on your goals. That is not what this is about. I still save money, I still invest, I still work on my career and my relationships and my health, but I do it differently. Now I do it from a place of wanting to grow instead of a place of fear. I save because I want future me to have options. Not because I am scared of being broke, I invest because I understand compound interest. Not because I am trying to get rich quick, I work on my relationships because I genuinely care about the people in my life. Not because I am scared of being alone, the action looks the same on the outside, but the internal experience is completely different. One version is driven by anxiety. The other is driven by intention, and the second one feels a whole lot better if you are in your 20s and you feel like you are constantly fighting everything. Fighting your bank account, fighting your career, fighting your relationships, fighting yourself. Just try letting go of one thing. Just pick a small area of your life where you've been gripping too tight and give it some space. Maybe it is your budget. Try the automatic savings method I mentioned and stop tracking everything. Maybe it is a relationship. Stop over-explaining yourself and see what happens. Maybe it is your career. Stop checking LinkedIn every day and comparing yourself. Just give yourself permission to exist without pressure for a little while. See how it feels? You might be surprised the world doesn't fall apart when you loosen your grip. In fact, things might just start falling into place, not because you forced them to, but because you finally gave them room to. I am still learning this stuff every day, man. I still catch myself gripping too tight sometimes. I still have moments where I want to control everything and fix everything and optimize everything, but now I notice it, and that noticing is the first step. When I feel that tightness in my chest, I stop and I ask myself, what am I trying to control right now, and what would happen if I just let it be? Usually the answer is nothing bad would happen. Usually the answer is I actually feel better. So I breathe, I relax my shoulders, and I let the moment be what it is. Not perfect, not fixed, just real. And that is enough. If this hits something real in you, just type I am learning in the comments. Not for me, for yourself. As a reminder that you are not alone in this, that we all figuring it out. And if you want more real talk about money and life in your 20s, hit that subscribe button. No pressure, just truth. Peace.